Namah Shivaya. Mahashivaratri, the great night of Lord Shiva, is observed throughout the world with great devotion. In a special Mahashivaratri documentary, Sadhana visits Rishikesh, India, where along the banks of the sacred Mother Ganga, amidst an ambience of purity and piety, pilgrims descend into her holy waters to free themselves of their sins. Believed to flow out of the matted locks of Lord Shiva's hair, the Ganges becomes integral to the Shivaratri festival. As the moonless night unfolds in Rishikesh, the powerful presence of the Himalayan mountains and the soothing flow of the Ganges creates an atmosphere satiated with divinity, allowing the spiritual seeker to connect with the all-pervading, universal absolute.
Shivaratri verily means auspicious night. Great importance is placed on the nature of activities performed on this day. A mind and body engaged in the worship of the Lord is considered extremely beneficial during Mahashivaratri. Rishikesh in the north of India is a town steeped in Hindu culture and is much sought after for its famous pilgrim spots. Located in the foothills of the Himalayan mountain range and along the flow of the holy Ganges, its tranquility, stillness, and natural beauty lends itself to being a place of sanctity, serenity, and spirituality. There are many places in India which light up during the Mahashivaratri celebrations. Rishikesh is one of the more popular locations and considered an auspicious place to observe the festival. Thousands of Shiva devotees descend on the town to offer prayers at its temples and to take a dip in the sacred Ganges. Mahashivaratri is one of the most important Hindu festivals and is observed with great spiritual fervor around the world. It is believed that those who offer prayers to Lord Shiva on this day please him the most and are absolved of their sins.
The word Shiva means auspiciousness, most auspicious. Most auspicious. And our life is most auspicious. You are basically divine. So that is the basic concept or the basic ideology of the Indian philosophy is that man is non-different from his creator. The worship of mythological god is at a very gross level, and behind that gross level the subtler philosophy is there. If you take out any material, any matter, the matter you can go to the molecular level, and beyond the molecular level you can go to the atomic level, and beyond the atomic level, when you go to subatomic level, it is full of energy. The matter is energy. Likewise, human is not ordinary human being with his ups and downs or pains and pleasures. He is beyond that. He transcends all these things and is most auspicious. His nature is bliss. That is the concept, and that is the worship implies that.
There are very few vigils that are kept in Hinduism, and Shivaratri is probably the greatest of that. And it is said in scripture and by the great saints that if one keeps vigil on this particular night, and one repeats the name of Lord Shiva and remembers him through the night, that he actually blesses one's, one's personality, one's inner being, such that one could evolve spiritually.
Continuously there will be chanting of mantras, Vedic mantras, and worship of the Shiva. At the same, that will be done by few people who are inside, and everybody will be participating. And besides that, all will be engaged in singing and chanting Bhagwan's name. So continuously, constant remembrance of God is the worship of Shivaratri. So likewise, this worship may be a ritual externally. It is beautiful. It also makes you happy. There is joy, there is thrill, there is food, there is pleasure, and there is music. So all these things are there, worldly things are there. Beyond that, there is also a subtle philosophy behind it.
In Hinduism, the moon is regarded as the presiding deity of the mind. Mahashivaratri is observed on the 14th night of the Hindu Palgun month, where the moon is the farthest away from the earth, otherwise referred to as the moonless night. With a reduced moon, its effects too on the mind are believed to be minimal, making it easier to control one's mental faculties and divert the mind away from the material world towards God.
In India, the sun and the moon are connected actually, because of the sun the life is here, and because of the moon the life is here. If there is no moon, there won't be any life here. The plants will not be there. So moon also influences the mind. Even in the Western thoughts also, the moon is called lunar, and people who are mentally disturbed are called lunatic. So likewise, in India they say mind. We don't go to that aspect. I say the mind has got something to do with the moon. The moon has got an influence on the mind. So the Veda says, Chandrama Manaso Jataha. The moon is the physical representation of the mind.
It's this phase of the moon. There is a particular asterism, there's a particular constellation, a configuration of planets, the moon especially, and on the darkest night of this month, where there is no moon, that is the best time, and that is how they calculate when Mahashivaratri will be. And on that particular constellation, that the energies of Lord Shiva abound. They are in the environment, they're everywhere around you, and it is just a connection that you need. And keeping vigil and repeating his name gives you that connection. So it is very important that there is no moon, because it is that particular configuration of the moon and the sun and the planets that make Mahashivaratri the great.
And the whole night we will be chanting mantras, remembering God, doing pujas. So it is one way of continuous or constant remembrance of God actually. So our mind is not naturally moving from one thing to another thing, one thing to another thing. All our problems in life is because mind getting worried about things which has happened in the past, or your anxiety about the future. Your anxiety about the future, your imaginations, that may not happen at all, but somehow or other, the mind is getting on engaged in that. So to stop such movement of the mind, to stop worrying about the past, and to avoid unnecessary anxieties about the future, you have to constantly dwell on something for the present. So all the religions in the world prescribe this constant remembrance of God actually.
Shivaratri is celebrated as the night when God is in close proximity to man. It is believed that Lord Shiva's energies permeate the atmosphere and that his divine vibrations are most powerful at midnight. At the Divine Life headquarters in Rishikesh, devotees hold an all-night vigil, singing bhajans and chanting the sacred Panch Akshara mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. The sacred bilva leaf is also offered to the Shiva Lingam, a form used to represent formless consciousness.
All worships, irrespective whether it is Mahashivaratri or Janmashtami, all these things are to train the mind to entertain positive thoughts. Of course, it has got an effect. Prayer has got an impact on the mind. Those who are pious, those who are prayerful, they will have less tensions in life. So to be free from anxieties, to have a peaceful life here, you need to have prayers, because prayers takes away your anxiety. You have support actually, you feel that you are being supported actually.
The whole purpose of all spiritual pursuits is the realization of one's inner self. And when one does such a vigil, it is much easier, and certain times during the night, during your meditation on Shivaratri night, you feel that connection.
Congregational prayers helps us to continuously dwell on that prayer. One important thing of the prayer is, if you are not praying, if you are sitting alone, the mind will be wandering, mind will be engaged in negative thoughts only. Mind will entertain negative thoughts only. It won't entertain good thoughts, because you will try to worry about something actually. By nature, the mind will go to negative thoughts. So, but if you are in the company of some good people and good thoughts, you start with good thoughts, it will go on for some time. So to that extent, the mind is free from unwanted negative thoughts. So congregational prayers always help us to entertain good, positive thoughts, and you can also continue with that. Alone you will not be able to do it. Actually, mind will not allow you to think like that, it will go in the opposite direction. Likewise, if like-minded people sit together and make prayers, sit for meditation, then the vibration will be much better. It will be even more even actually. The benefit of the one powerful meditation will come to us, and we can share and benefit each other.
After the movement of thousands of people, a settling stillness and calm prevails over the Rishikesh night. As dusk falls, the Ganga Arti is performed along the banks of the river. The sounds of the temple bells ringing, the beating of the drums, and mystic chanting heightens the spiritual experience. Individual prayers are carried with the tiny lamps on leaves that float down the river, taking away with it heartfelt prayers for peace, prosperity, good health, and joy. A spiritual awakening.
Rishikesh is actually the hub of Hindu spirituality. In many ways, it's been said to be the yoga capital of the world, but it's also, for us, it is our spiritual home. Within a 10-kilometer radius of Rishikesh, or 20 kilometers from here, is Haridwar, which is also a very, very ancient, old place recorded in history as also a great place of high spirituality, and great people were born and lived in this area. They walked this ground. In fact, this great sages and seers and saints, many of them, thousands of them, have walked this very holy ground. In fact, it is the dust of the rishis and the holy men's feet, and that is why this area is called Munikireti, which means the dust of the feet of the rishis and the munis.
Some of the ashrams will be doing puja, and then they will be doing arati everywhere. This worshipped also. The water is worshipped here. Then even in the Western philosopher Tilly, there was one philosopher called Tilly, he says, water is everything. Water is life. Water is life actually. So the Indian philosophy also says, Apo Vaidagum Sarvam. Everything here is water. Our body contains about 80% water. So without water there is no life possible. So water is the source of life actually. So that we have got respect for the water. And especially rivers. Those days people were living on the banks of river. Even today also we are living on the banks of river. Or pump the water and take it to that place where we have. So the surface water is our life act. So the water is worshipped because water is helping us to sustain our life. So our gratitude towards the water is actually the worship of Ganga.
Rishikesh is the most powerful place because of the river Ganges. So I want to have a total cleansing. So that's why I'm here. Okay, this morning we had a dip in the Ganges, and that was very invigorating. And so far the night, the Shivaratri began with at the Ganges river, and it was most awesome. It actually brought tears to my eyes. It was an experience that I couldn't have imagined.
So the Ganga is considered as the Lord, originates from the feet of Lord Narayana according to the request of a great king called Bhagiratha. There was the king called Bhagiratha. He wanted to bring Ganga. The story says it is presumed that Ganga was there in the heavens, that water was brought down to earth to purify people. So he did tapasya and he got it. And so the Narayana, the Lord's feet was washed. And then that when it comes down, it falls with a great velocity and it will go to the nether regions. So Bhagiratha again prayed to Shiva. So please see that the Ganga is, the velocity of the Ganga, the power of Ganga is reduced so that it flows smooth. So Shiva had it on his head so that it trickled down to his matted hairs. So it has got the connection with the Lord Shiva, it has got connection with the Lord Narayana, and the Narayana's feet were washed by Brahma with Kamandalu water. So all the three trinities are connected with that. So Ganga is considered as a very holy river, very pure river. So people have got so much love for that. So they come, it is faith also. And it is also scientifically to some extent true also. People take a bath in Ganga and then feel very happy. So Shivaratri, because it is Shiva's day, Ganga has flowed down from the head of Shiva. So they consider it as very holy. A dip in the Ganges is considered very holy.
I think Shivaratri here is very special, firstly because of the spiritual atmosphere, the spiritual ambience as you would call it. And here it just promotes that feeling of going inwards, or that activity ceases around you and then one feels this inner peace. And on a night like this, when one keeps vigil on Shivaratri, one could feel that the presence of Lord Shiva up in the temple when they are doing the Abhishekam in the temple in the Vishwanath Mandir, we call it. There you could feel the very presence of Lord Shiva on this holy night. There are 4 praharas, as you know, and at the end of each they do an arati, And that makes your hair stand up on end, because you actually feel that, because the chanting becomes goes to a crescendo, and we actually feel with the arati, the lights and the lamps and the sound and the blowing of the conches and the ringing of the bells, that Lord Shiva is present here. The spirituality draws people here, and in Rishikesh especially, one finds, people of all countries throughout the world, and they realize that the thing that they're looking for, which is God realization, can best be accomplished by learning yoga, by learning meditation, and everything that is taught in a Hindu tradition. The Vedas, which is the source of all knowledge for every Hindu, contains universal truths, contain truths which transcend nations, which transcend language, which transcend everything that one could think about. Race, color, creed, it transcends everything. Because there is a universal truth, a simple universal truth which for all eternity has been true. And all they're doing is coming to find that truth of the entire cosmos in the simplicity of Rishikesh and the gurus and the teachers that are present here.
In the Hindu pantheon of gods, Lord Shiva is responsible for destruction and dissolution, destruction of the old and impure, in order to make room for a new creation that is pure and divine. Shivaratri is observed by Hindus as that sacred festival for the annihilation of old habits, attachments, and the ego, and the transformation of one's life toward the goal of God realization. The sanctity of Rishikesh and holiness of Shivaratri restores the spiritual seeker, who returns home renewed, resplendent, and rejuvenated.